Welcome to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed, the only show that equips you with everything you need to know about restaurant transactions. In this show, we tell you all about how to make the sale or purchase of your restaurant not just possible, but successful. Now here are your hosts, ex-restaurateurs and seasoned brokers, Patrick Toda and Andy Mirabel.
Welcome back to another episode of Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. We're really excited today. I have a local chef and friend on with us that you may have heard of. So I'm Andy Mirabel, as you know, and my co-host Patrick Toda here. Today, we, and especially I, am so excited to have a hometown chef hero on our show with us today. Sacramento is my hometown, and to witness the growth of Chef Billy Ngo over the past 2 decades is a true chef Cinderella story. Chef Billy and I have run in many of the same hospitality circles and networks for years. There's literally no chef or person I know that handles success or growth with more humility and grace than him. Chef Billy always greets me and so many other adoring friends and fans with a big smile and warm welcome, whether we run into him at one of his restaurants or if we cross paths out in Sacramento or maybe at a Kings game. I'm wearing my hat today, Billy.
Oh, nice.
So let me tell you a little bit about him. Chef Billy is the founder, chef, and partner of Crew Contemporary Japanese Cuisine, Fish Face Poke Bar, a big fan of that for lunch, Healthy Hounds Kitchen, Kodaiko Ramen and Bar, as well as the newly opened Chunmai in Sacramento. Billy was born in a refugee camp in Hong Kong and moved to Sacramento when he was 8 months old. His culinary career began at Fuji's in Sacramento. He is a graduate of the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco and worked at some of the most prominent sushi restaurants in Sacramento before opening Crew in 2005. In 2024, he was nominated as the finalist for the James Beard Award in the category of Best Chef in California. His exceptional culinary skills have been showcased on popular TV programs such as Glutton for Punishment, Man on Fire, Cutthroat Kitchen, and Chopped. He's also been featured in events such as Pebble Beach Food and Wine and Los Angeles Food and Wine. So I'd like to really give you a warm welcome, Chef Billy. We've known each other for years, and it's just been a pleasure to see the growth. And I really appreciate you taking time, especially after your most recent opening, Chunmai, which is keeping you busy, I'm sure, to be on the podcast with us. So thank you and welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. So let's dive in a little bit, because Patrick, you're just meeting him.
Yeah, good to meet you. I also grew up in a restaurant family, and I always thought I would be in the business, which that ended up happening. And so tell me a little bit about, working with your parents in the restaurant and when you decided to be a chef, and did you know it at a young age, or if you can just kind of take us through that?
My story would be a little bit opposite of yours. I didn't know I wanted to be a chef. That was not something I wanted to do or imagine myself doing. Not that I didn't want to do it, but I just never saw myself doing that, especially my parents coming over here, being immigrants. I remember them working in restaurants, because English was their second language. They never really picked it up, so they didn't really speak the language. They just had to start work any way they can, and they were working in restaurants. And I remember them opening up a restaurant with an uncle. I do remember, I was really young, elementary school, getting picked up and, from school and then hang out at the restaurant in the office to do homework or whatever, watch TV in the office, right? After that, it didn't last for really long. They had it for a little while. They closed it. And, I'm pretty sure they had other ideas of me, any immigrant family or, of being a doctor, lawyer, or whatever it is.
Anything but a chef.
Yes. So I remember, the mentality was, it was just so hard to come to America. You do whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. And they worked in restaurants because, they had to. They didn't speak the languages, so they had to work in a restaurant. They're like, why would you want to work in a restaurant? It was just a job for me. When I first got my first job, I was a busboy dishwasher at Fuji's on Broadway. They recently reopened with different restaurant group. I kept the name, but Fuji's was one of the oldest Japanese restaurants in town for a very long time. And I just had a friend that, his parents or his mom worked there because it was 4 siblings that ran it. The little history of Fuji's, one of the oldest Japanese restaurants in town. Those 4 siblings that ran it, their parents started it. They were there forever on Broadway, and I think it was Broadway 13th or Broadway 12th, but right across from Target over there. And one of the oldest Japanese restaurants in town. Their parents started it, the siblings took it over, and then 2 were working in the kitchen. 1 did back house, 1 was running the bar. And I knew Arlene's son, he got me a job there as a busboy. So I was busboy, dishwashing. It was just a job, making minimum wage, whatever it was back then. $5 or whatever it was way back then. And I'm dating myself now on how old I am, but then tips, right? And then worked up this fit, and then worked up. I was there for a few years and worked up to do sushi prep, and just doing sushi prep. Not really working the sushi bar. The restaurant was pretty big, 2 stories. But sushi wasn't very popular. The restaurant was huge, big bar, 2-story restaurant. Sushi bar sat about 10 seats or 8 seats. It was very small. I just remember it was really small. There was two main sushi chefs there that I learned from. It was Doug, Yoshi, and they didn't get along. So whenever one was at the sushi bar, the other one wasn't there. They had opposite schedules, and then there's a third guy that was the helper. And I don't know. One day, like the third guy, younger guy, like he quit, and then they asked me if I wanted to learn sushi and work in the sushi bar, and I was like, instead of dishwashing, heck yeah, doing that instead. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And same thing, it was just a job. I didn't care that much about it. It was a job. It was fun, but yeah, still going to school. I was there working in high school, the work permit. Graduated high school. I went to Sac City for a little bit, and then during that time too, sushi wasn't really popular in Sacramento. There was a lot of Japanese restaurants, but I think what really caused us the sushi blow up was Mikuni. Mikuni made sushi cool and fun. So even working at that sushi bar at Fuji's, right, they're busy, it was good. But it was really serious, simple sushi, all the rolls inside, no sauces, right? Just nigiri, it's sashimi. And then I just remember like sushi wasn't that popular yet. And McCree's, we heard about McCree's, and I had another friend working there that, they're recruiting for chefs. That they just opened up Roseville. They needed chefs. That's when they just only had two, just opened Roseville. So I went there and just applied for there and got an interview with Taro. It wasn't even an interview. Like, told me, Tom, I thought it was going to be a sit down interview. I sat in front of that sushi bar he was working. He just pretty much fed me lunch, asked me a few questions, and then he was like, "So when you want to start?" And the vibe was really cool. It was very different. You had all these younger guys, bleached hair, bandanas. Everybody was having fun. Whereas, working where I've been working at, learning sushi was, working with two older gentlemen, very serious. Lots of rules of how, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. You should put sauce on it, So this made it look really fun. They were like bartenders, rock stars, and chefs at the same time, making food and splashing sauce on the plates. So I was like, cool, took that job. So I was working at not Fuji's, Mikuni for a little while. And I think that's when it hit me like, this is fun. This is cool. Like, I like doing this. And it's not just like a job. That's when it hit me. That's what I wanted to do. And I actually, fell in love with the cuisine and culture. And during that time, that's when I decided, I dropped out of school. So I was just going to Sac City College. Was there 2 years. I dropped out, decided to pursue this full time and actually try to learn as much as I could and be as good as I could at doing that. So was when I got that job at McKinney. So I worked there for 6 months, and then after that I left. And I think from there on, the next few years, I just bounced around to different restaurants, working at some restaurants just 1 month, some restaurants a couple years, bounced around. That's when I realized that's what I wanted to do. It wasn't like when I was a kid, like, oh, I want to be a chef, or I didn't see Martin Yan on TV, like, oh, Martin can cook, so can you, and I wanted to be a chef.
That's crazy, Billy, that you obviously learned from that more like traditional Japanese family the rules are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Stay within the rules, stay within your place, and you'll grow organically, but that could take a very long time. And it seems that liveliness and
energy.
No, absolutely. But the fusion aspect and the energy aspect of Mikuni's and other jobs really took you to that next level. I think Blowfish Sushi was that for me. I was like, when I got brought on with Blowfish and helped them expand, this was like, this is fun. This is different. There's energy here. I like going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not energy and, the vibe and, everything. And I truly feel like, without Mikuni and Sacramento, the whole sushi scene, the whole Japanese, the restaurant scene would be very different,
Yeah. For those listeners who don't know, Mikuni's is the sushi juggernaut in the greater Sacramento area. They've grown exponentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were just recently bought and are going to be expanding nationwide. So congratulations to Taro and team, but they're a juggernaut up here. But Billy, obviously you've built your career to be that other juggernaut up here also.
Let me ask you this, as a chef or a restaurateur and you having as many concepts as you have, how do you spend your time since it's so precious? Our time is our resource as a chef. How are you able to juggle so much and keep everything together?
It's really hard, but it's just having a good team. I'm very fortunate and lucky to have a really good team. Growing too fast is a hard thing too, Like now we still have the 5 businesses, the 4 restaurants, But also, those are the ones that survived and are doing well now. But we've closed quite a few as well too. So growing too fast and not having the right team helps a lot, affects it a lot. But honestly, how I do it now is just having a good team. Like really lucky, really fortunate to have a good management team and having a good team of chefs, to run it. The only right now I'm spending most of my time at Chumai, of course, is still new a lot. But once everything's running, I still spend most of my time at crew. I still like working behind the counter. So I'll still work behind the counter. A few nights we do omakase. Like right now I'm spending most of my time at Chumai, but I'm still doing the omakases there on Wednesday nights.
Wow. Just Chun Mai, I know the story, and you and I've talked about it when I dined with you there, and you kind of expanded on the tribute to your mother with this concept. Has this concept brought you kind of full circle in a sense? I mean, are you pausing for a minute, or are you still trucking full speed ahead? Because it seems like you just brought it up from your background, being raised by your mother and they worked in restaurants and so on. But here you are making a tribute to her with your latest opening.
I think that was gonna be a pause. I think I told you that day when you came. I was like, no more restaurants after this.
Our famous last words.
I actually was saying that during the pandemic when everything was shut down, then reopened and reshut down, and 25% indoor dining, then 50% indoor dining,
Yeah.
and all that, And then after we were reopened, it was just a struggle to try to bring staff back in and find employees and reopening. We got everything reopened. Everything was running again. I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again. Everything is running fine. Time to chill out, right? During that time, was when I was like, I want to slow down. This whole time, like it's that story I just told you about getting the job with communities, and then finally realized like this is what I wanted to do: be a sushi chef, work in restaurants, bouncing around. I just kept banging, kept my head down, working. Opened Crew 2005. From there, opening a new restaurant, it's hard. You working 6-7 days a week, not making money because it was an old turnkey restaurant. So every time we made a little bit of money and went back to the building because it was such an old building, and just had put my head down, just working, and time blew by. I don't even know where the last 20 years went. But during that period, during the pandemic, when we got to reopen, and it was so hard to get through it, but then reopening it and bringing staff back on, I didn't want to do anything. Like now, you know what? If everything's running, everything's cool, the team's operating, operating it fine. Time to just chill and enjoy. What am I doing? Why am I just working so hard? So finally bought a house. I never owned a home. I was just renting a place downtown close to the restaurants. Just worked, and I was like, time to enjoy. Just buy a house, try to take more time off. Finally got married, and all this happened, and then the space for Chumai came up. That popped up, and
The bug bit.
I know. So it's a tough friends development area. So I have another friend working there. They're like, hey, you want to do another restaurant? Come check out the space. And I walked it. Well, I didn't walk it. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not trying to do silver restaurants. Everything's fine. And they told us come check it out, And then we did. We walked the space. I looked at it. And then seeing the sign there, RE Building. RE Building is the name of the development. It's named after one of my good friends that passed away in 2018. Super young, 35. His name was Ali Reza Yousefi. So the family is developers. That was the last building that he actually designed and worked on. So they named the building after him, RE Building, ARY, after his name. And then seeing that sign, kind of touched me on that. And I was like, do one more spot with him. He was one who talked me into doing fish shakes at the wall because that was his building as well. The work about lofts and then doing that there. And then we have Kodaiko at the Hardin Building, K Street over there. And then, this is his last project. So I was like, man, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do one more thing. And having him pass away from cancer, same thing with my mom passed away from cancer in 2020. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do one more.
There was science involved in this one.
Yeah, it was felt like it was like meant to be, do one more restaurant in my buddy last building that he designed, and then just name it after my mom, and even doing sushi, right? So growing up, these were the flavors I grew up with, but also, growing up here, came to the United States in '81. I was 8 months old. I just wanted to assimilate. I wanted to eat the lunch bowls and all that stuff, and not eat the food that was packed for lunch for my parents. And I wanted to be American and all this and that. And then all of a sudden, growing up eating Chinese and Vietnamese food. My family's ethnically Chinese, but they were born in Vietnam, so it was a mix of Vietnamese food, Chinese food, and the McDonald's, and then we get the lunch from school where it's like the grilled cheese, all that stuff that I grew up with, and then all of a sudden the first job I had was in the Japanese restaurant, and I started doing sushi and falling in love with that cuisine. And Crew, first restaurant opened was Japanese food. going back to this, like all the restaurants, like this, it's somehow tied to Japanese cuisine. So it's ramen, sushi, the poke, still raw fish. And going back to this is really cool for me because it's actually a restaurant with the flavors that I grew up with. So that means a lot. And it's like I haven't been this excited in a very long time in that concept because these are all new flavors. You know, people know Chinese, people know Vietnamese, or there's all these really cool contemporary restaurants now. There's modern, contemporary Filipino food, Chinese food like Mr. Ju's, Slatador for Vietnamese. But the combination that we're trying to do and that we're gonna do at Shumai is just kind of like a melting pot of the two because that is the flavors that we grew up with. That's the culture, and it's something different. So I'm excited about it, and there's no not still recipe books or so, but now like you could Google how to break down a tuna on YouTube or go to YouTube. You'll learn how to break down tuna. All sections you could learn how to make you can make sushi at home. You learn everything on YouTube. Or you want to make a Japanese inspired cocktail, you'll find something online. What we're doing here now, it's with the combination of flavors. It's like we're playing around with it and we're kind of inventing it. And that's why me and the team and even the bar staff is having so much fun right now because doing really cool things where we're not just like easily look up a recipe and then change a couple of ingredients. Like so it's really exciting for us as well. And hopefully, the guests and the public are just as excited with us.
It was so flavorful and authentic and unique in its own right. So I loved it. I know Patrick and I are super curious here. You want to dive into some of the meat of this, Patrick?
Yeah, I think we should get into the whole James Beard stuff because I think that's going to be really important to talk to.
How do you become nominated? Are they monitoring you? What's going on there? How do you become this nominee for Best Chef California?
I have no idea. I was actually really surprised, and I was really surprised myself. But so I guess anybody can nominate you. If there's a form you fill out, and you have to submit it, and it's a pretty lengthy form. So whoever does it for you, I guess they have to really like you.
Yeah.
So do you only need that one nomination from one person to just get on the radar, or?
I think you need that nomination, and then that's when their team does the work after that. They'll come and check it out and so forth. But I didn't know until the announcement was made that we're a semifinalist.
Well, you have plenty of fans in Sacramento and abroad, so I'm sure someone stepped up and did it. We had our guest on a recent episode, Lauren of the SF Standard, who knows you well, and she's affiliated with the James Beard Association and from Sacramento to boot, right? So it was kind of interesting. Patrick, what do you think here? What do you want to dive into?
Yeah, I guess I just want to learn more about, since you were nominated for the James Beard Award, tell me a little bit about what's happened since then, just with the network of other chefs, just your overall experience. How's the business been after that?
I think everything's been better. Everything's been awesome. You could tell business got better. Crew, a little hard to tell because crew's like, we're very fortunate. It stays pretty busy. But after that, all the other restaurants for sure. I think everything's improved.
Do you have obligations that you need to go do X, Y, and Z after you're nominated? And how often are you put in contact with the other nominees as far as like in-person stuff? It's not really that, huh?
No, not at all. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like we just got when we made it to the final, we got the invite to go to Chicago, which was an amazing experience. That was super cool to meet and network with all the chefs there and all the presenters. But there's no obligation afterwards. So you have to do this or that. None of that.
Well,
Did
cool.
you keep in contact with it? Did you make any new friendships or contacts that folks or chefs you keep in contact from this experience?
I did made contact and friends with Chef Rogelio from Napa. That was the other chef.
He was on Top Chef. Yeah.
He was on Top Chef and also nominated for Best Chef in California.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. We just ran into each other 2 weeks ago at Pebble Beach Food and Wine, working the same event.
Oh my God, that must have been so much fun to do the event at Pebble Beach. I mean, it's such a great setting and who's who, I'm sure.
It's a lot more fun now. It hasn't been around for the last few. 2019 was the last one. Then everything got shut down from the pandemic, and they brought it back last year. And last year was a little slow to get started because, it was the first one back. And then this year, it was back. It was cool.
Well, you have the shirt on there with the Healthy Hounds. I'm a big dog lover. So if you can just give us tell us a little bit about that.
Healthy Hounds, human grade dog food made with the same ingredients that we use in the restaurants.
Wow.
There's no great stuff. It's actually, real. It's the same rice that we use for our sushi. from the same rice
Wow.
farmer.
Right on. I'm hoping that's Sacramento sourced rice. We'll see.
No, but it works out,
Yeah.
We want, so me and my two partners, we love our dogs, and we opened this place back in 2015. And at that time, there was no farmer's dog right now. You can order it online, it ships to your door, or this and that. It was like we were cooking for ourselves, and one of the partners lived in LA for a little bit, and they had a place down there locally called Just Food for Dogs, and that's where he bought it. He moved back to Sacramento. There was nothing like that, so we're cooking at home, and we're just playing around with doing this idea of just doing good food. We love our dogs, human grade dog food, and we're just talking about it over and over. And finally, one day, we just did it.
Yeah.
All three of us have our own careers and have our own thing. This was like no pun intended, but it was our little pet project. We love our dogs. Didn't want to cook for them at home. We weren't even looking into it as like making money. Like, let's open this place as long as we could pay rent, pay the staff. Cool, we could go there and get the food for the dogs. But it blew up.
No way. That's good to
It
hear.
works for everybody. It's like at first, when we first opened, like some people were skeptical. Oh, so you're just like using all your waste from your restaurant. I was like, we don't have that much waste to be making food to do that. But things work out. Like I was saying, like for the rice, right? It works out for everybody. It works out for it's good rice. It's still the same organic rice that we use in the restaurants, but it works out for the farmer too, because the perfect grains of rice gets used at restaurants. There's still lots of broken kernels, broken rice that it's just still eatable, still the same rice, but it's just broken, right? So then we take that and we turn it into the dog food. So it's good for everybody.
That's
Nice.
amazing. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that because my dog's over here staring at me with a cross-eyed, saying, "What are you feeding me?"
I'll give a shout out to SF Raw here in San Francisco. They have human grade dog food, but it's down in the warehouse area, and you have to pick it up, and it's really like it actually looks very edible. Not that I've tried it or anything.
Right on.
I've tried all of ours.
Yeah.
So we've tried ours. Add salt, some sriracha, you're good.
Amazing.
That's the thing. So now we didn't invent this or anything like that.
Yeah.
We just didn't have one in Sacramento, and so so we opened it. Yeah.
Oh man, well that's amazing. I love that. So, dog chef owner, James Beard nominee. You got a long resume here, Billy. I'm really proud to say that you're from Sac, and I really appreciate you joining us to chat through some of this and your background and nomination and all this stuff. So, this has been great. I'm sure the listeners are pleased to hear about you and learn about you. And anything else, Patrick? What do you think?
Let's just go with the bonus question here, Billy. What was your favorite dining experience?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I just like simple, tasty food. All I can just say is the most recent. All right, let's do that. That'll be
There you go.
Most recent dining experience. Finally, I was able to try out Benu, Chef Corey Lee's place.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
well,
I've
that's
dined
a
there.
good dining
Yes.
experience.
That was great. Well, last month. Well, the reason I say that was because I spent a 3 Michelin star restaurant place. I was kind of like over dining at Michelin star style restaurants because ingredients are amazing, service is amazing, ambiance is amazing. But I think after the pandemic and hanging out with friends and stuff like that, the whole vibe was like, I just want to have fun. Like and also I'm just a really chill dude. Everywhere I go, I like to wear a hat. I don't get dressed up, and just the vibe of being able to go out and have fun and eating this really tasty, simple food. And I remember Benu, like Corey Lee was a chef I looked up to a long time ago, and I wanted to go to this restaurant. I never had a chance, and all of a sudden, boom! 15 years went by. He opened in 2010. I was always been meaning to go, never had a chance. Finally went, and it blew my mind. And I was like, why did it take so long to go? And one of the things I liked about it was real food. Restaurants are fun, trying to always like challenge yourselves in a team. But sometimes you just want to eat real food. You don't want to eat like sauce stocks and crumbs. So there, that experience was like, no, every course was.
I love that. Sauce, dots, and crumbs.
That's what, like, after a while, like, a lot of those experiences, you're going to have a lot of courses of that, right? So, but
Sure.
it was real food done really well every course. And, that blew my mind. And yeah.
That's the second shout out we've had to Benu on our podcast, Patrick, if you recall. Lauren was on the Michelin star tour.
Yeah, which that was just one of 3 restaurants that she went to in one night.
Benu stands out.
Oh,
I
wow.
dined there too, and I remember it was very modern, stark, but they were so friendly and so helpful with what was being delivered and not stuffy. And it was fantastic flavors and food. I agree with you, Billy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they've been around for 15 years. It's only on a carpeted dining room.
I know. Well, thank you so much, Billy. We appreciate you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll come by one of the spots soon and say what's up.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed today's show and don't want to worry about missing an episode, you can follow the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you found today's episode interesting or useful, please share it with someone you think would benefit and consider leaving a rating and review.
Reviews help restaurant owners or buyers just like you discover this podcast and benefit from the important topics covered in the episodes. Your opinion matters to us as a listener, so feel free to leave topic suggestions and feedback for us, as we will use these to tailor the episodes to you and help you get the most out of listening.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. If you're considering selling your business and would like a free consultation, reach out to Patrick and Andy at therestaurantsalesbroker.com or visit www.therestaurantsalesbroker.com to learn more.